Hey folks, this is Judd. I'm daydreaming about dragons again. And I've got a lot of dragons to daydream about because today I'm going to be GMing two games, different games, back to back. One face to face and another on Twitch stream. And I am really excited. Both are Forged in the Dark games, which means they're built on the chassis that Blades in the Dark is built on. So the first game I'm running is called Band of Blades, and it's kind of inspired by the Black Company books and a lot of other things. I think maybe there might be a little Battlestar Galactica in there, but it's a fantasy war story game where you are the remains of a mercenary company that got decimated in a huge battle with an undead Lich King, and you're basically running across a nation trying to get to Skydagger Keep, which is the only place where you're really going to be able to defend yourself against the undead hordes. So I'm excited to play that. It's a game I'm running for a friend of mine because it's her birthday, and I'm hoping that me and my buddies and my wife and everybody will enjoy it enough that it'll become a campaign. We'll see. We'll see. And then tonight I'm running on the Twitch stream actual play channel. I'm running the Ghoul Case, which is a Blaze in the Dark game, but instead of playing scoundrels, we're playing investigators, and they're investigating a case about a new type of drug called ghoul or ghast or ghost shit that has hit the streets, and the Emperor has tasked them, the undying Emperor has tasked them with investigating it. And I'm really excited. I've got that like pre-game jitters excitement thing going on. The first game starts at around 3 in 2 hours, and the other game is tonight. And I'm just really excited to have a day of gaming. I'm looking forward to both of them for very different reasons. But I'm excited to face-to-face game. It's the first group game that I've played a bunch of solo games since I moved up to Ithaca, but this is going to be the first group one. So I'm really excited to get together with my friends and do this thing that I love. Visiting fictional places with friends. What's better than that? What's more fun than that? I haven't figured it out yet. So I'm excited. I wanted to document my excitement and then maybe do like a cool down tomorrow or tonight after the second game. Just talk about how my day of gaming went, and that'll be my actual play segment this week. So I'm very excited. I've done some prep, and my wife and I kind of ran through the system yesterday just because I think the Blades in the Dark games, the Forged in the Dark games are deceptively dense. They're deceptively rules dense. They don't look like there's a lot of rules, but there are. And one of the things I really like about the game is that there are a lot of different ways to do the same thing. So there are little strategic moves you can make to do things in little subtle different ways that cost your character different resources. And it's fun. It's really cool. So it's not just a matter of being surprised in what you're going to do, because of course it's play to find out. So it's definitely, I don't know what the players are going to do, but I also don't know how exactly they're going to do it, which is super exciting. So I'm excited. We're going to have some war. We're going to have some war stories. We're going to have some, inspired by Black Company, and then some cop stories inspired by True Detective, and we'll see where we end up at the end of the day. All right, I hope your gaming is going well, and I will see you on the other side of this amazing day. Post-game show, and the games went great. It was a really amazing 11 hours of gaming. I haven't had that much fun gaming in a really long time. I mean, gaming has been good, but that was, I don't know, something about gaming in groups and gaming face-to-face and also gaming online was really special. So that was a lot of fun. Band of Blades was great as advertised. I really loved it. I can't wait to have the book just to make it easier to kind of flip through and reference things. I feel like books are still... we had 2 tablets at the table with the PDFs, but books are good technology. They've stayed around for a reason. There's a reason why we're not unwinding scrolls. Books are pretty cool. And I say that not just because I'm a librarian, because I love PDFs, and I like ebooks too, but there is something nice about books. And we played it. I felt I was a little bit stiff because it was a new system and I was learning the new system, but that's okay. I think we all had fun, and I think we could all imagine what was going on. It's the little things that I find I lose when I'm learning a new system. So that's fine. I don't mind that for our first session. We played through not systems. We played through 2 missions, and I had a really good time. One of the gamers who was in the group is going away on vacation for a while, maybe even 2 weeks. He's headed out of town. So we'll see when he gets back, when he and his wife get back, we'll meet up again. So that's fun. I can't wait. I feel like we started something fun there. And the other thing I really like about Band of Blades is that it is a campaign, and I feel like it'll take us a dozen or so sessions to get through it. And there are plans for more campaigns, so you can continue playing the Legion, but it's finite, and it almost I like when games have that kind of stopping point where you can stop for a bit and say, okay, let's pause it here. That's really satisfying, especially since we might not be gaming forever. Nothing is forever. So it's nice to have those kind of chapter points. That's really, really fun. And speaking of chapter points, we played another amazing session of Blades in the Dark with Strash and Lauren, and that I'll have a link to the YouTube videos of that. You can at least watch the first session, and the second session should be up soon. And it was a long session. We gamed until I think 1 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, maybe 2 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. And then it was one of those deals where we had to sit and decompress afterwards. After the streaming was off, we had to just sit and talk and decompress because it was so intense and so good. I really like that game. I really love a GM and 2 players. I just think it's a fun way to play. Band of Blades was great with 3 players and a GM. That's fun too. I like that. Also fun. But a GM and 2 players, there's something about that vibe that's really good. It feels like a buddy cop movie, which is splendid. And it was really good. It just, it's an investigation, and that's a very tricky thing I find to GM because there's a fine line between I roll to find something and I look in a really clever way and find something. And the key to that for me, and with Band of Blade, with Blades in the Dark rather, but all with the Forged in the Dark system, is the position and effect. That's a really cool way to make it more difficult when you feel the player is doing something that just isn't as productive, right? So if you're looking for evidence in a house and you're doing it with a sledgehammer and you're just smashing walls and looking for something, that probably isn't the best way to do it. But if there are clues that the criminal has been hiding things in the walls, maybe that is the best way to do it. Maybe they do find that secret passage that way. Maybe it was bricked up well enough where you just don't find it. And I like that with positioning through Blades in the Dark and the Forged in the Dark games, I find that I have a way to go to the dice, but also very much make the players, the fiction and the players' actions are meaningful in the dice, right? I think with a lot of games, you roll, and how difficult it is isn't necessarily reflected in the actions, which means it's not reflected in the fiction. And I like the way that Blades in the Dark does it. I find investigative games can be really unsatisfying, and this one is really fun. And they really found out they were in over their head, and that this investigation goes to the highest levels, right? This investigation goes right up to the Undying Emperor, who is such a big character that he doesn't even have a faction in the game. He is off in another city, this kind of, emperor as I picture the Undying Emperor in the Blades in the Dark setting like the Emperor in Empire Strikes Back, right? A shady, flickering hologram of a figure. And when they found out that this case this seemingly innocuous drug case went straight up to the undying emperor and the history of this world. It was really cool, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked the way they found out. There was a string of a lead dropped by someone who they weren't even, they were trying to interview this criminal gang leader, and they got something out of his second in command, and it was a tiny string, and they just pulled on it until the whole sweater kind of unraveled for them. So it's interesting. I feel like now they have the why of the case, but they don't necessarily have the who or the what. And I like that. I like that now they've got some feet under them. They can see how to do this. And the other interesting thing about this game is that I've got two players. I've got Lauren and Strash. Strash really knows the setting inside and out. Strash probably knows the setting better than I do in a lot of ways. And Lauren is new to the setting, and they reflected that in their characters, which was amazing, and I thank them for that. Lauren is someone from out of the city, who's from a nomadic people who wander the Deadlands, the Savrosi, and Strash is playing a character who was in a gang, and now is a police officer, now is a blue coat, and his gang was decimated because of this drug a decade ago. So this is all kind of coming together and fitting together in really fun ways. And I really, really like that. That is really cool. So a really wonderful 11 hours of gaming. And I was exhausted and a little overstimulated. Sometimes after gaming for a long time, I can't quite go to sleep. So this wasn't as bad as it used to be. I remember when I was in college and I would run 12-hour games, I used to have to, wash all the dishes and do some cleaning in the house before I could fall asleep. Yesterday, I fell asleep pretty well, and I woke up pretty well, which is nice. I woke up feeling really refreshed, which is fantastic. I woke up kind of, not early, but I didn't sleep in. I slept, it was still morning when I woke up. So great gaming. Thank you to everyone who gamed with me. Thank you to everyone who came to the stream and watched. And I will put out a little blurb that let you all know when we're going to Twitch stream next. It should be 2 weeks from this Saturday. Again, I'll put it out as a little like mini 2-minute reminder. Hey, we're streaming. At the end, on Saturday. I'll put it out on a Wednesday, so that you all can get that. Okay. And because more the merrier, and it's nice to have people in the Twitch, in the stream, on chat, watching us and cheering us on. It's really fun. So we'd love to have you. And if that's on actual play, I'll have links to all of this in the show notes and along with my Twitter. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Feel free to mention how your game is going. What are you playing? And how's it going? Face-to-face? Online? How many people in the group? How is it going for you? Tell me what you're playing. Email me, Judd, judd.karlman@gmail.com, or you can tweet at me. Pigeons, ravens are acceptable. And let me know what's up, okay? Thanks for listening, and let's go on to the Inspiration Goat. It's a strange one this week. The Inspiration Goat has gotten fickle and strange. Goats are fickle and strange, I think. Anyway, what you got for me, IG? All right, good one, Inspiration Goat. This is an interesting one. So this isn't Game of Thrones and Avengers. It's not that. The Inspiration Goat stuff this week is conversations about Game of Thrones and Avengers Endgame. I think it's fascinating. I love that these media that I've been taking in since I was a kid are now plastered all over buses and cabs and are everywhere. And my parents know about them, and they're just so mainstream and so global, it's nuts. If anyone had told me that Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet would be this thing that was just dominating the media, I would have laughed at them when I was a kid. And if anyone had told me when I was in my 20s that this weird book I was reading about, oncoming ice zombies and a fantasy version of the War of the Roses and a lady messiah figure who has dragons, who's going through basically a bunch of sword and sorcery tropes of city-states, was going to be like the thing on TV, I would have said there's no way that would happen. But it's happening. So I've noticed that my friends and I, when we talk about it, we talk about things we like. We talk about things we wish could have been done better. But there's definitely an element of frustration in both conversations. And that's okay. It's still fun. It's still a fun conversation. It's still fun to talk about. It's still fun that it's an event, that I get to sit down with my wife on Sunday nights and watch Game of Thrones, or go to the theater with buddies and family and watch that, or watch Avengers Endgame. I'd like to loop this back to gaming by saying, when you're frustrated with the media, a great way to criticize it, and a great way, not to criticize it, a great way to deal with your critique, and a great way to process it is to game about it, right? If you don't like Game of Thrones because of X, Y, and Z, play a game that corrects that mistake. If you're frustrated with Avengers Endgame because of how it deals with Black Widow, and I hear you, I feel you, how cool would it be to have a role-playing game about, or a role-playing game scenario about badass, superpowered women in a superpowered world who feel isolated from society and aren't having children, right? Or even aren't feeling isolated by society and aren't having children. I think that's interesting. I think there's interesting stuff to be had. So I'm not saying shut up, don't talk about it, design something. That's not what I'm saying at all. Critique, don't shut up, say stuff. But there's something else to consider, and I think we all should consider it, and that is, I'm not trying to silence anyone, is what I'm saying. I'm saying take it a step further. Take that frustration and make something out of it, too, if you can, if you feel like it's there, or game about it. I feel that when we game about media, or game inspired by media that's too good, it almost doesn't work for me, I've noticed. And my shining example of this is Aliens. I played a couple of different games inspired by Aliens. And somebody says game over, man, and someone says nuke it from orbit, and it's an okay night of gaming. It's not great, it's just okay. I think that's because Aliens is so damn perfect. How do you improve on that 2-hour tight sci-fi epic, action epic, really, through 3 hours of gaming? I think that's a difficult thing to do. That's a difficult ask to improve on that. Now, you can branch off of it and go in a whole new direction. That's something. That's pretty cool. I'm down with that. But I think there's very little frustration there to process. Whereas I think in other media, there's plenty of frustration. Plenty of things that we're not seeing, or that we would like to see more of. So that's what I'm talking about today. Turning frustration and things you'd like to see more of in fantasy fiction and nerd fiction in general into gaming opportunities. See it that way. Hey, I'd really like to game about this. I'd like to game about a bunch of Black Widows who are sick of the world, looking down on them and treating them like they're not people. Rock on. I'd like to game about these city-states and how they deal with it when a dragon messiah comes and they're like, you know what, we'll solve our own problems. Thank you very much. Love it. I'd love to play that game. Let's play it. Maybe you can do it within a system that's already around. Maybe you have to design it. I don't know. I don't know how far you want to go, but I'd love to hear about it. Hit me up. Judd.Karlman, judd.Karlman @gmail.com. My Twitter link will be in the show notes. Let me know. Thank you for listening.